welcome. I'm very excited to have this as our first episode. I know we actually had a first episode, but what we did is, and I'm sorry, Dean and Austin, we're bumping you.
Because you're not cool.
You're not cool enough. No, you're pretty cool, but we're bumping you, okay? And the reason why is on Tats and Mats, we've got a special guest. He's a good friend of Derrick's. And hopefully, after I get my rating after this show, he's a good friend of mine.
I think so.
I think so. We've got DNA in common.
Exactly.
Right?
Neanderthal.
Neanderthal.
You both are cavemen.
We're both cavemen. Honestly, people, I've got like 83% more than most people. But enough about me. I want to welcome Norm to the podcast. I know that, I know you go by some other aliases, and we'll talk about that. But thank you for being here. Derrick, thank you for kicking both of our asses so that we're here. And a big thanks to Brian, who's over there, for being here and setting this up for us. So, Norm, thanks for coming. So I want to start off with, how did you two end up meeting, right? And then we'll kind of go through what's happened since you've met, okay? Because I think
it's been wild. It's
pretty
wild, man.
It's pretty unique. So how'd you meet?
You start, because you're the one who sent the email, and tell him the email that you sent to the shop.
I sent an email to a shop
Okay.
asking if he was somebody, if somebody who I knew worked there.
Right.
And apparently they didn't, because I ended up with Derrick.
Okay.
And Dean, I think it's Dean.
Yeah, Dean.
Yeah. Great guy.
Dean introduced Derrick to me through, yes, we have a person here that will actually do the tattoos you're asking for. Of course, my tattoos are BDSM.
Right.
So it's on the face or the head.
Right.
Or both. So most people don't do those things.
Right.
So that's how I got to meet Derrick.
And Derrick's not most people. Let's agree on
He
that.
was a surprise to me, because he's also the cousin, I believe, of a person who I know who works in a bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there was a connection before Derrick with the cousin, but not a tight connection. But now Derrick and I have formed a tight relationship in that regard.
Amazing. Norm, bring that mic.
I'm sorry.
Bring the mic up. You don't be sorry. It's the mic's fault. It's not your fault.
I agree.
Okay,
Norm don't do wrong.
So little Dean, he's been to jail.
Yeah, he's been in prison for 2 years.
And we'll talk about that in our next in episode 2.
Yeah.
So you send an email to the shop. You get the email.
But the email wasn't just like, hey, because someone tattooed my head.
Sure.
It was like, I was watching UFC with some buddies at my house, okay?
Yeah.
And Dean he forwarded me the email. And Norman, a.k.a. Slave Pig, speaking in third person as he does through communication through text and email.
Okay.
It's like,
interesting.
Slave Pig would like the word pig tattooed on his head by Miss Talon's allowance or something. This and like, and it was like, is this real? Is this, And then he's like, I don't know if this is real, but will you do it? So I was like, dear Slave Pig, I will be the bringer of punishment on your skull. I shall rip your flesh.
Okay, hold on.
Yes, put me there.
Hold on. Yes. Hold on a second. So to go back to my previous statement, this is what I meant about not normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you know me.
so you're out with the guys.
Yeah, well, I was at my house during. Yeah.
Okay, and so this is what you're responding while you're drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you respond that you're going to inflict.
I shall bring the punishment from the tattoo gods onto his flesh.
Okay.
That's what I said. And then he also sent pictures of himself with his little fucking suction cup tits.
Yeah.
And, it's like, whoa.
So how quick did you respond?
Oh, quickly. I was down.
I know you would. So this is what I think is interesting, because you play a card, which is your card.
My card was, I needed this tattoo. I needed it bad.
Yeah, but I
didn't realize he was joking or he gave me some kind of.
I was very serious.
No, but for sure. But what I mean by your card, just to clarify a bit, is this is like, if I were to send an email, right? The card that I would play would be, hey, look, this is what I'm looking to get.
Exactly.
This is my scenario. But you're playing your card because it's you, and your card was, hey, look,
That's
writing in this fashion, presenting it this way, attaching pictures. and Derrick playing his card.
Let's dance. Let's dirty dance. I like the dirty dance.
So he knows you're playing aces, and he's like, "Hey man, I got 2 aces as well." And so when you get his email back, which again, you're probably not expecting an email like that.
I didn't expect it whatsoever. I mean, it was very, very direct and very suggestive.
Sure.
Mind you, my photograph to him was very suggestive as well.
That's what I think is funny, Norm, is this is what I think is ironic about, which I think is how a relationship is formed.
It is.
Right? It's like, you throw your aces in, he throws his aces in, and you're surprised by that, which I bet you were shocked.
My backup card was a king.
Right.
His was a queen.
I'm the king, you're the queen.
I won. I got my tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
The tattoo I sent to him, or the picture I sent to him, was very primitive, very Neanderthal in striking.
Which we know about.
It had the word pig, and that's all it had. But
Sure.
but Derrick created a beautiful piece of artwork.
Yeah, I love it.
And this is what I'm wearing on my forehead today.
Well, and when we met, I didn't even notice your eyebrows.
No.
Right? Because I was looking at like, again, I don't think the pictures do it justice.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's
beautiful.
well, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like it's
I'm happy with it.
Well, and some people that have tattoos, you're kind of like head tattoos, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, so how long after? Okay, well, hold on. What did you write him back after that?
I don't always remember the words.
Okay.
But they were definitely thankful words, I'm sure.
I can tell you with permission of Ms. Talon,
Oh,
his
right.
owner,
Right.
we're gonna go forward.
Amazing.
Can you send us some designs? We'll get it done this day. And it was like bang, bang, bang.
And you see,
Right.
I don't make. I'm sorry, Derrick. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
But I don't make my own decisions when it comes to these type of things.
Right.
I have an owner, and her name is Ms. Talon.
She's a beautiful woman.
And she lives in Edmonton, and her and I communicate back and forth on a regular basis. And she does own me in every respect.
Oh.
And every respect means in making important decisions. Sometimes financial, sometimes not.
Right.
But certainly in respect, I believe in the superiority of women. I don't subscribe to.
You know what? I'm going to fix that right now.
Okay.
Just,
I don't subscribe to what the vanilla world is giving out right now to women.
Right.
You know, where they're subservient to men. I believe it should be the other way around.
Right.
So any important decision is hers, and she makes certain decisions, like the tattoo on the side of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was until I got to the shop.
Wow.
I was perfectly fine, no matter where she wanted it placed, no matter what it was.
So then, and not to sidebar off of that. So when you said that perspective of, this is what you believe.
Yep.
Do you believe other people, or is that just something that you've said? This is how you're going to choose to.
No, this is how I choose to
Amazing.
be. I believe that women need to be respected.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, it's terrible the way they get treated in society, on income, on job promotions, everything. It's terrible.
Right.
And also, men seem to use women as their housemaid, as their daycare keepers for the children, and sports care for their children, taking them to different sports events.
Right.
Men are basically not nice that way.
Right.
So I can't survive in a world with that type of situation going on. And so I make it a world of my need to respect women. So therefore, Ms. Talon gets my total respect. And all other women are viewed in my eyes as superior women. Even if they don't know, they are.
Right.
And most of them don't, because most of them are fooled by men.
Well, so you're so somebody like you without the visual, like the tattoos,
Yep.
right? Would be able to deliver this message verbally.
Absolutely.
But you're able to do it with your art. Too,
I use art a lot to help break the ice.
Right, which is amazing.
It's an introduction.
Right.
People who are in the vanilla world, a normal day-to-day routine of life, they look at my tattoos and say, "Oh, are you in the military? Or are you a biker?"
Right.
None of these have those type of references.
Strike two.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And they're not prison tattoos. I never went to prison. These are definitely tattoos which I value women. I want women to see that I value them.
So when did you start getting tattoos?
Well, my wife left me 15 years ago, and I went out one day. It was probably in the 17th 17 years ago, when I got my one arm done and the other arm done the same day. So I had 9 and 9, 18 tattoos done all at once. So that was my first tattoos.
You just jumped in the pool.
I jumped in head first.
Let's go.
That's like a friend of ours, Craig. Yeah. Who we'll throw in here whenever you want to joke about someone. That's the guy that we joke about.
Well, I'm a heads first person.
Well, and so he jumped in head first with Derrick and let him tattoo.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I get it, but that's like
it was end of the month in the middle of February, and the tattoos was quite happy to have a client walk through those doors to pay his rent.
Yeah, totally.
And so I got a hell of a deal, $900 for 18 tattoos.
Wow. So that started it.
That all started, and they were all BDSM. My BDSM roads go back to when I was age 16.
Wow.
I'm 72 right now.
You're 72?
72.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, he looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm damn good.
He's a stallion.
I'm 72 years old, born August 4th, 48.
So again, I'm glad that we share DNA because
exactly. See, the Neanderthals don't all have to look ugly, do they?
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
So when I was 16, that's when I was first into BDSM, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew.
So what did that? And then we'll get back to you guys, okay? And if you again anything that because I'm just very curious, right?
Most people are when they hear that there's one of me out there somewhere, so they want to hear the background.
I was just so curious because what's interesting is I think a lot of the people that I listen to that podcast, and we were talking a bit about this before we started, but I feel that there's a lot of honest people that I like to listen to, okay? And you were featured on Tom Segura's podcast.
Yes, I was.
Right, and that to me,
he was also featured on Dr. Drew's podcast.
Dr. Drew,
for sure.
Right? After
that's
hours.
How it started.
It was Dr. Drew After Hours.
Yes, that's where it started, and Tom Segura was his co-host, and then it went to Tom Segura, and then Tom Segura carried it.
Right. Okay. So again, me being, I found out about the second piece because again, my relationship with Derrick, he was pretty excited to be on there, and I was like super. So that's where my interest started. Right. As I was very interested to learn how you two met, which I think that email thing is.
It's an unusual match when you think about his age and my age, and my maturity and his maturity. I mean, he's pretty mature, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, well again, because
he surprises me with what he comes up with.
Well, and he's lived a lot, right? Like he's gone through a lot of stuff.
Oh, for sure, yeah, he has.
Right, we talk about this
more than I have in certain areas. Yeah.
Well, and I think the balance is if everybody went through the same things, then what the fuck are you going to talk about?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right, so it's like,
that's why I don't like people like that.
Oh,
that's why I like people that come from
teach you shit.
Different places.
And that's why my interest is it. And again, like, my partner, Jenna, she's an advocate. She has opened up my...
She has her own sex show, doesn't she?
She did.
Oh, she did.
But then she got pregnant. And she took some time off. But her goal was to break the stigma wherever they exist.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm breaking the stigma.
Right.
I believe in the superiority of women.
Right. So my interest was not just because, hey, this is one of Derrick's buddies, there's momentum. It truly is from this is exactly what she wants to do and does.
For sure. So I would have been on her show if she was still in business.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
But now you're on ours, so
that's
sorry.
Why it can't get better than that.
Sorry. No,
we're way cooler.
Okay, so let's go back to 16, right? Yeah. So was there a specific
spark?
Yeah.
There was.
What's the spark?
It's an unusual situation. Mind you, everyone's heard about their fathers having pornography under the mattress in the bedroom.
Sure.
My dad did too.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I came across because I was hunting for something.
Sure. Kids
I was alive at 16, okay?
Yeah.
And I found my porno magazine under my dad's mattress. And it wasn't BDSM. It was just a normal vanilla pornography magazine. But there was one picture in there that caught my eye, and it changed me forever at age 16.
Wow.
And it wasn't what you'd probably think. It was a picture of an image of a woman from the back, not from the front. But she was well sculptured, just beautiful from the back. muscles, or muscle tone, I should say.
Nice ass.
And she just come out of a shower, and the shower had water beads all on her back.
Oh, I love that.
It was a black and white picture, not even color.
Wow.
But it was shaded, so it had different shades of black and white. And that alone gave me a reference point to build my understanding on the superiority of women, how they can capture the eyeball and capture the thought inside a person's head, that's a superior entity that needs to be respected.
Interesting.
And that's where it all started from.
Wow. So this goes back in being an advocate for women.
Exactly.
Right, to that moment.
I'm almost a feminist, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Well,
a male feminist.
I think I would say when I had my daughter,
yeah.
Okay, I realized that every father, right, is that in some respect.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to represent that.
Yeah.
You have to understand that. I mean, if we don't teach our daughters, how they need to be respected, dude. Then that they don't know they don't know what their worth is, and I think that starts with us, right? It's showing how we treat people, and
You're
we
right.
set that example.
You're right, especially when there's an overbearance from male-oriented homes.
Sure.
Where men control everything. They control the money coming in. They control what they do for the weekend, the weekday. The wife does the
you're
laundry.
like 10 decades behind, Norm. I'm sorry.
I'm going back in time. Okay, picture yourself in a time capsule.
They run everything we do right now, man. What the fuck are you talking about?
And eventually they're going to seize on you. They're going to charge you with the understanding that you're now treating them as a second-class citizen. That's the problem.
Right.
And they're not. They're actually they're the gold in life. They're the treasure.
Yeah.
It's not money. It's a relationship with a wife that actually knows she's actually helping the family out.
Right.
And being respected for it.
They're like that treasure in they
are the treasure.
In Hobbit, where you grab that fucking jewel and that dragon comes and fucking destroys your life. That's the treasure.
There's some of those, but there's not every individual. Okay, I won't say woman, male, otherwise, right? There's sometimes not good people, right?
That's true.
And fuck.
They're called psychotics. Yes.
Right. So
I've had my share of them too.
Right. So those again, I think being able to be a representative of people that are good people and deserve a voice, right? And I think a male being that voice, right away. I mean, that's you go, okay, well, I'm interested in that because you're not a female with that voice.
That's true. I'm a male with this voice. I do wear women's clothes.
Right.
And I do have breasts. But that's just who I am. That's what makes me feel comfortable in my own skin.
Can I actually touch on one thing?
Yes.
I've never asked you about this.
Oh.
You got this giant metal collar that you wear.
Yes.
24/7.
24/7.
How is that comfortable?
So have you never asked about the color?
No.
That's the one thing I haven't asked about. He's talked to me about some
this collar has
shit
tremendous weight. It has tremendous weight to it.
But again, I find that interesting about your relationship.
I know.
Take it off.
You would think that'd be the first thing you'd say, wouldn't you?
You talk about a lot.
When I go to a bar or anywhere in public, nobody says anything.
Sure.
The odd person might say, "Oh, interesting collar," and say, "Well, thank you very much," and then we move on.
Right.
No one ever finds out the details. I've only had a few people ever touch it. It weighs a lot. It's stainless steel.
That looks.
And it was locked on on Valentine's Day, February 16th of last year, so 2019. It's never come off.
Wow.
She's thrown the keys away.
Wow.
She being Ms. Talon.
Wow.
Ms. Talon, she's beautiful.
She has her own website on. Of course, they all do dominatrixes, right?
Please say it. Tell us.
Yeah.
Let's.
Well, I never.
Tell us a bit about Miss Talon.
It's mistresstalon.com.
Oh, interesting.
So it's there for everybody to see, and she's for real. She's not a psychopath.
No.
She's not a beat someone to death sort of thing with whips and chains and that sort of stuff.
And you know what? I've had personal conversations with her many times.
So what is that relation? So. Because I'm curious.
There's no sex, obviously.
Sure. Okay. Oh, well, I didn't know that.
No, well, she lives in Edmonton. I live here in Calgary. So,
right.
So there's no sex.
And she's our age.
And she's your two ages, yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you meet?
Internet.
Interesting.
Everything nowadays is internet.
Yeah, it is.
I found her website, and there it was. I told her what I needed. And what I needed at the time was to be cuckolded. And you know what cuckolding is?
Explain that to me.
Okay, that's where you wear a chastity cage on your male instrument.
Sure.
Or whatever we're calling it today.
Instrument. Okay,
Bro,
we said that we'd have to.
I've seen the pictures.
We'd have different slang, right? And so an instrument.
Exactly. So,
instrument's fine.
Because I can't get used to saying that word. It starts with a P.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just too clinical for me. I'm not surgical or clinical in any manner at all.
I'll say it. The penis.
I can't say that.
Okay, I'll say it.
It's the penis.
Yeah.
I defer to the de facto word cock. So,
Instrument.
Exactly.
We'll use
Yeah.
instrument.
but instrument is more pleasurable in this setting, right?
Yeah, sure. Instrument.
So,
I've seen that thing clapped onto your little willy.
Okay,
Exactly.
so you find her website.
yes.
You message her and say this is. You send one of your intro emails.
Exactly. And
Derrick received.
it's actually the first time meeting a person, but it's done by email.
Yeah, interesting.
So you have to appeal to their senses because they get bombarded by all kinds of whack jobs out there.
I'm sure.
And I was very serious what I needed. She met my requirements in appearance and in her profile on her website, and that attracted me to her. So I gave her an insight.
What was it about?
Oh, we're talking 5 years ago,
Okay.
or almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I can't recall totally, but her looks was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't realize that wigs and different things that people use now
Sure.
can enhance their appearance to make your mind think all kinds of things. But she's a wonderful, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
I mean that by appearance, by her soul, by everything about her.
She is actually quite nice.
She's a wonderful and very intelligent, extremely intelligent. So I introduced myself to her in a nice, calm way, saying that I needed certain things from her. And she provided them in the sense that I needed ownership. And I needed her to hold the keys to my chastity cage. So I was not permitted to have sex in the way that most people in this world have sex.
Yeah. Interesting.
So my sex and your understanding of sex are two different categories. Mine would be just being locked up inside that steel cage with my instrument.
Right. Penis.
So no, explain the no.
Every time you say instrument, I'll follow that.
Explain the instrument. What did you do in the cage?
Well, in the cage, that's what I was leading to. In the cage, what happens is it is. Hang on a second, we're having some technician work this stuff here. Here we go.
There you go. Facing the microphone.
So.
You like your
Did we
face
catch
around
that?
round
That
things.
was professional,
Come on.
Brian. Did you see me just jump across?
That was very
the table?
professional. I was wondering if you were lunging at me
I was
with
going
your
to grab the
Neanderthal
collar. I was going to say,
Exactly.
there we go.
That's
He
happened
doesn't
many
mind
times.
round objects
he's
in his
going-
mouth. He's fine.
But if you're a woman, I appreciate it better if you're a woman.
So we have the mat. We're going to bring it in here. So Tats and Matt. So next time we'll we'll
wrestle.
take it to the mat.
Indeed.
Yeah, we'll
Take it to the mat.
Yeah. Okay, so interesting. So you're wearing it, right? Or how
Yes.
did that? Can I ask how that process went?
You can ask any question.
Okay, so so she responds, is it a
Well, we went-
financial relationship?
No, there was a piece of financial networking going on in there.
Yeah.
I'm a pensioner.
Yeah, okay.
And when you get on pensions, your whole income changes
Right.
from what you're familiar with on dollars and cents earnings
Sure.
to being paid on a fixed pension.
Right.
So there's not always a whole lot of money that fits inside a pension income, which is unanswered for money.
Right.
But there are times when there is some extra funds that can be sent. So those funds were sent to her with free willingness on my part.
Right.
No arm twisting, no demanding anything sort of thing. Like
Right.
a lot of these dominatrix are today, they charge by the hour.
Right.
But she's not like that.
But and that's it's a relationship based.
It's a relationship building.
Yeah, and like I what I mean by that too is
I want her to control my inability to have sex.
and there's time. Okay, and there's time in that.
Right, there is.
So she should be compensated for her time.
Absolutely. And
I
that's where I had no problem sending her money for that.
Right.
So we went through a whole series of different chastity cages. Some of them left me in very dire straits. One chastity cage, there was probably about 6 chastity cages in total. I would buy them, send her the chastity, she'd see the keys, unlock it, send it to me, I'd lock myself up in it. Okay, so what would happen is we got to a point where one of them was done and it was too small. But it's not small compared to what goes on out there. A lot of people buy these small chastity cages, figuring they're going to restrict themselves, but they don't realize it's on forever.
Right.
Or it's on for as long as they want it to be on.
Right.
And it doesn't take very long before you start getting chafing.
Can you piss through it?
Yes, you can very easily.
Thank God.
And you can. It's
you
very.
come
It's very.
through it?
Yes, you can,
Okay,
but you have to have a vibrator put on top of it.
Okay.
Wow.
So you can't whack it off. You can't enter any
That would
woman.
be awful.
It's definitely. It's not for
It's got to
everybody.
be the magic wand.
Good thing he's old though.
It has to be the magic wand.
You know what? When
No,
you're
no,
72
no,
years
but
old, you
if-
don't need to jerk off
I
anymore
don't.
anyway. So
But
who
you
gives
know
a
what?
fuck,
There's still
right?
life inside that instrument,
Sure.
Some little bit.
and there's desire in the
Come
brain.
on, boy.
Okay.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
So what happened one time we had this one on, and it was so tight that my testicles started to grow, and I didn't mean grow; they grew the size of grapefruits,
Jesus.
and it
I've
was
seen
so
that.
black and blue, and it was just that was awful.
I have seen that with a reverse vasectomy on a friend.
And I swore and cursed at the post office because they weren't delivering the freaking key, because I had to ask my owner, "Can you please send me the key?" I said, "This is going to kill me."
Right.
And they got so heavy, I had to hold them because I couldn't. They couldn't just support themselves. It was that huge.
Did you feel like putting a pin in them?
I had to walk bow-legged.
Jesus.
I guess you weren't going to the pub
I
that day.
didn't have to put a pin in them, Derrick, because what would happen is they were sweating. They were sweating liquid out of the balls all through the entire area.
Jesus.
So I mean, it was a very life and death situation. Me losing my nuts. Okay, so what happened is finally I got a hold of the post office. It turned out it was the wrong postal code on the package, and they said, "It's here. You can come down and pick it up." I said, "No." I said, "You're going to deliver the damn thing,
Right.
or I'm going to sue your asses off."
Right.
Because I said no one on our end put the wrong postal code. Well, it turned out not to be so. But anyways, they delivered the keys. I got this thing off. I'm not kidding you. When I took the lock off, the chastity cage off,
Oh my! It's like really.
there was such a major groove inside the flesh where the organ or the instrument attaches to the body,
Right.
that it was so thick. It was almost as thick as my finger, where it was cutting into my flesh. That was causing the pain.
Jesus Christ.
So I got it off just in time.
Jeez, no. Jeez.
So-
Did you continue after that?
Yes.
With them?
Okay, look. This man
Neanderthal
this man
learns
is
nothing.
pig food. Tell your pig food story.
I have it with him too.
Okay,
Tell your
so
pig food story.
well, okay, so the relationship. Okay, so it starts with these. Okay,
Yeah.
and this happens.
It's start.
And-
Everything grows to exponentially forward. Anything, any career path,
Sure.
any
It's
hobbies,
evolution.
it's all grows because you learn from what you learned and you build on top of that, right?
Right.
So I was building on top of this. So I realized that Ms. Talon is a woman that is capable of delivering a whole lot for me. So we grew into my natural love of the idea of being referred to in a degrading manner as pig.
Okay, so that's where that came from.
That's where that came from. So that was the life birth of that word pig. I could have called myself anything I wanted to, and she would have gone along with it, I'm pretty sure, because she's very, very easy to get along with.
I'm sure you want that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, there are women that can actually go very too far.
So sorry to
and you
interject.
Pay big time
Sorry to
for it.
interject right now, pig. So you're talking with Miss Talon and how well she's treated you.
Yes.
I want you to tell us a story about the most evil, sadistic, degrading dominatrix owner you've come across. What's something that really scared the shit out of you? Tell me something really fucked up.
Well, this isn't totally fucked up, but what really scared me, there's two different categories. You mentioned one is fucked up and one is scared.
What scared you? What made
So
you worry about
what
your
really
life?
made me scared is I was with this young girl when I was still with my wife, and I was cheating on her basically because I take the night times out with this girl, just like most guys go to a bar. I'd go to a dungeon.
Okay, so so can I? So you were into this before?
I've been into it since I was 16.
Okay, but into it.
I'm really into it.
Into it.
Really
You
into
never
it in the
stopped.
40s. In the 40s.
Right, but things could be. What I mean is there could be an interest at 16, and the interest builds.
That's true. It does, and that's exactly you're right.
And I thought maybe when you and your wife split up, that was kind of the jump in the pool.
That was the jump in the pool. No, that was 15 years ago.
Okay, so you'd been with.
Now, mind you, her 15 years. No, that's a lie. I've been divorced 12 years.
Okay.
And I live with this lady friend here in Calgary, and my dominatrix, my owner, for 5 years. She passed away 8 years ago. I know it's a mathematical thing. It's terrible for us Neanderthals if you get the math in our heads right, but she died. But going back in time, I started getting all these tattoos and all getting really serious, deep into tracking down mistresses and dominatrixes. I was in my mid 40s.
Okay.
And I was still married at the time. I've been separated from my wife for quite a number of years, and also divorced for a number of years. So that's where all the math geniuses can figure that out with a calculator. I don't have a calculator.
And you know what? If you're doing math, do something else. Okay, put the pencil down.
If x equals 1 and y would be
put it all down. Just
2,
listen. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So then.
He's telling his dungeon story.
Yeah, the dungeon story.
So that was right. That was going back to what scared me the most.
Yeah.
What scared me the most was this young girl, and she had to be probably just legally age 18 or who knows what. But I didn't feel comfortable because what she did, she stuck me inside a bird cage inside her dungeon. And a bird cage is basically just that. It's for a big parakeet. So the body goes in and she closes the door and locks it, what have you. And she left. She would have to go back into the house, and she was using her garage as the dungeon. And that scared the living crap out of me. I thought, oh, for sure, I don't know this woman. Who is she? What's she all about? What did I do with my life? How could I put my life in such jeopardy and putting it inside the hands of somebody who I don't even know? So I felt terrified, literally terrified, a bird cage. And it turns out she came back. Obviously, I'm still here. I'm still alive. So that was the most terrifying thing.
Can you, this is why I'm so interested. Is I think how you guys met is very interesting, right? And I think the path that you're living, you're doing it for two things, because you enjoy it. Right?
I do enjoy it very
much. But you're
much.
also...
I believe in it as a religion.
Yeah, and you also have a message, right, that you're presenting. So, okay, so fast forward a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, and the tattoo. Okay, so you come in, you get the tattoo, okay, and then things start to happen, right? So let's talk a bit about that. So what's been happening?
Well, there's more happening before the tattoo.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
And this is where Derrick wants me to get into something here about pig food.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, no.
And it's for real.
I think he wants to talk about how, things are getting blown up.
Well, I'm curious about.
Well, I can address that as well.
Yeah, but now I'm curious about the pig food.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your pig food, because this this really freaked people out on the internet.
It does.
Okay.
I've made movies. I've made movies of it
for months.
Yeah, a solid month.
Oh, a month? Just 1 month?
No,
I thought it was 3 months.
It was 3 months.
Okay.
Well, what happens is I went out to a co-op, farmer's supply shop, and purchased a 50-pound bag of pig pellets. And I take them home, and what I do is I would put a cup of pig pellets inside my blender. A cup. I also going to sound gross, but a cup of my own urine in a hopper, in the holder of the blender. Blend it all down into a mush. And I put it into a metal bowl, which I would eat off the floor. And I would be totally naked. Wow. On my hands and knees.
Wild.
And that was my meals. I still have a supply, an emergency supply.
Just with COVID, food. You went out.
You never know where it's going to take you, do you?
So was that?
And you can eat it straight, or you can eat it pureed. I like it preferred pureed because it makes a mess of the face because you're digging your face into the food.
So was that something that you were told to do?
No, it was all part of my pig genre.
Wild.
I wanted to be treated like one. I wanted to think like one. In fact, there's plans being put into place in communication style between myself and Ms. Talon that if the future opportunity provides, I will live in her basement in a cage, because I also had a steel cage as well, and I would be fed pig food.
You can't do that, Norm. We can't be buddies no more. I'll miss you.
You know what I thought immediately when you started together? I thought you were going to say you were going to get a tail.
No.
Okay, I thought.
Mind you, the whole thought doesn't disturb me. I've worn a big butt plug.
Actually, you know what's crazy?
That's close.
I've had pink and I've had black.
Here, guys. Sorry, I don't want to sidetrack, but
I thought it was.
You know what? Norm is actually writing a memoir.
I am writing a book.
I'd like him to talk about this. This interests me.
Okay.
At the current time, it has 90 chapters, and the chapter can be anywhere from a page and a half to 3 pages long. Now that's typed, okay, and that's double space. So who knows what it's going to look like when you get into it. But there's going to be an index to it, and there is an index to it, I should say, and it has 90 chapters so far. And the name of the book is called Memoirs of a Sexual Deviant.
Perfect.
And in there it starts out when I was age 16 is where I started being a deviant at age 16.
Right.
What caused it to happen, what it was all about, and how I progressed all the way up to this current date and time.
Amazing.
So we're 98 chapters in, and Ms. Talon is editing this book. Excuse me. And I still yet have a few more chapters yet to write from my last cutoff date to the current date in today's time.
And what are you doing with it?
Well, she's going to sell it. She's going to get it published and have it sold, and the proceeds hopefully will go to her. I don't want the proceeds. I'm not into my lifestyle.
Miss Talon, can
money.
we work together?
Miss Talon's going to come see us.
Okay.
Talk to Miss Talon.
She's coming down for a tattoo at some point in time.
When she comes down to get tattooed, she's going to come.
It'll be the whole
100%.
tour.
We'll have her on the podcast.
A podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it'll be a tattoo, podcast,
and
destroy me.
Yeah.
And then go back
to maybe she'll beat you up or something for us.
You just never know. She might even put on a display for you.
We might have your pen over here.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, so you get your popcorn, your peanuts out, your peanuts.
Peanuts. So
I hate that word. I hate that word.
We all have to have our penises out for this.
No,
that'd be
popcorn
fun.
And peanuts.
That'd be a good time. Why not? Let's do it.
Who says alcohol affects the brain?
Okay, so when do you plan to have that done?
Well, we're not planning anything exactly, but the point is things can mature given enough time of advance notice. That's all.
Yeah, I think the memoir is amazing, and I think
it'll be an interesting book. I've been asked by many people to produce this book, and I don't see myself as being an interesting person. I'm just a normal BDSM guy,
sure,
which is extreme.
Sure.
Okay, because there's different levels of BDSM. Of the world population, probably 15% of the world are into BDSM.
That's a large percentage.
But I think what makes somebody interesting is their ability to tell their story.
Exactly.
Because
it flows wonderfully from chapter to chapter, and it has time increments in there, and tells you. Right. It keeps the reader informed what's going on as the progressional growth happens.
Yeah, and so for me, there's so many layers to Norm's story, Slave Pig's story, and I know a lot of it. So, and I know you're so intrigued because you don't know as much, but I'd like you to share not just the intriguing sides, but the dark sides. What's the lowest point? You told me about your career, how it's affected your career.
Well, there was a moment in time which I can relate to.
It was very interesting. That's what it's so.
Tell me these.
I was working in the banks.
Yeah, career. I was interested.
My career is financial services, which is banking.
Sure.
So I had a responsible position, just a consumer lending officer with one of the banks, and it held a position where I was in charge of 10 branches. So I was a big dog, okay? And I worked out of head office. And head office was a scary sight because when you go in there, they tell you that there's going to be things you hear and see you can't repeat elsewhere.
Right.
So I can't. But even though I'm no longer working there. But the point is, it's a frightening place. So one day I got a call from the general manager, a real big shot. And I thought, okay, well, I've served enough time with my career path that now is the time, which I really wanted to be, was a bank branch manager.
Sure.
I didn't want to be a district manager of 10 branches, which is just basically an auditor in a sense.
Right.
I wanted to be a bank manager. So that was my big day. So I went upstairs to his office. He sat me down in his office and he handed me a letter. He says, "Is this you?" I wasn't what I was expecting. Is this you? What are you talking about? So I looked at this letter, and it wasn't just a letter. It was a letter with a photograph inside the letter. And the photograph, of course, was me. The letter, definitely, it was me. And what happened is it was a letter that was sent to a woman who I thought was into BDSM. She blackmailed me.
Oh, my God.
She didn't ask for money, didn't ask for anything. She recognized my name with the institution I work for. She contacted the big guys. The big guys brought me in. They said, "Is this you?" I said, "Yes." They fired me. I was out of that office so fast, it was incredible. They escorted me out of the building onto the street in Toronto. And the picture didn't have my face. And in today's times, it would probably be a wrongful dismissal.
Right.
But back in those days, it wasn't wrongful dismissal back in 1982. So what happened is it was a picture of me dressed in a vinyl corset, and my instrument...
His dick was hanging out. His dick was out.
Hanging out for all to see, and it had a pink, beautiful bow tied on it. Of course it was me.
Right.
I was proud of it.
You're saying, look,
I wouldn't send a bad thing.
It was someone's
like
birthday.
a present.
It was a gift.
It was like,
for
here,
fuck's
baby.
sakes. Like,
She
what are
missed
you upset
out.
about?
She
Could have
missed
been a
out all
Valentine's Day gift. Who knows, right?
She just said, "Oh, you got your gift. You got
Exactly.
your letter."
Yeah, here you go, baby.
But it turned out to be a bad news, so I came home, and that was in October of 1981. So I had to go home and explain to my wife, I'm fired. For what reason? And this is when first this BDSM thing came out and really hit home to her.
Right.
That I'm fucked up in her eyes. And I had to endure the families, what have you, on both sides of the family, the marriage family, what have you. So it was a bad Christmas that year. And it was, the only place I could get a job was moving out west. And I had 3 employment letters from 3 different banks saying they wanted me to be hired out west. This was before I got fired. So I went out there, looked up each and every one of those 3 people here in Calgary, and they all said, no, the recession has hit here. We're not hiring anybody.
Right.
So those letters were worthless. They were useless pieces of paper. So then I went to a headhunter, and headhunter found me a job here in doing commercial lending. So that's how I got my feet established here in Alberta.
Oh.
That was in Edmonton.
So was that in 19?
That was in 1982.
82.
Yeah.
Year before I was born.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I outdate everything in this room,
Oh.
probably.
So
Except
then
maybe the building here might be a little bit older than me.
I think we're in a heritage building. So then how long were you in Edmonton before you?
I was in Edmonton for 32 years. I moved down here.
Oh.
I moved down here because my next lady friend, she seen me on the internet on a BDSM website, and she's deep into BDSM. She's a sadistic dominatrix. But she's more than that. She's actually a mistress. The dominatrix charges by the hour. They go home, or from their dungeon they go home, or sometimes their dungeon is in their home, but they can change their clothing, and they can become just normal like everybody else, like your next door neighbor. So what happened is I hooked up with her, but she is she's a mistress, I should say, not a dominatrix. She doesn't charge by the hour, although she would. I mean, who's not going to say yes to money?
Right.
So she would do that when the opportunity presented itself, but she wanted to live the life as a mistress, and I wanted to live the life as a slave. So it was a perfect marriage.
Right.
And we didn't get married, but it was a perfect relationship. And we lived together for 5 years, and she suddenly developed kidney cancer and passed away.
It's terrible.
And that was 8 years ago. And to this day, I've never found anything that I can hold my hands to saying this is it. I'm still in the business of being a BDSM slave.
Right.
So what happens is I found Mistress Talon through the internet, and her and I worked out a workable relationship.
That's good.
Yeah.
And is that, do you think, well, I guess it's up to you to determine how long that, or is it
It's
up
not
to
up
her?
to him.
Well, it's not really.
No.
You pass away all your rights to your owner.
Okay.
So if I have the privilege of calling her my owner,
Sorry to interrupt. Let's talk about your loss, because that was a huge part of your life, losing her.
it was.
And it changed a lot of things for you, and you questioned yourself, and you went
I
to
did.
church, and you.
He does know a lot about me. I got to stop talking.
Yeah,
what's wild
Norm,
is his
I listen to
memory.
everything.
His memory is incredible.
It is incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about
Yeah,
it,
I don't have a problem with
I didn't feel comfortable, to be honest.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But I didn't to push that any further. But I think
I think it needs to be learned.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think people
My
need to
life
hear.
is an open book.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't hide from anybody any question. I can answer every question.
yeah. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So what happened is she passed away in June 10th, 2012. And in August, 2 months later, I just was out of my space. I didn't have anyone to talk to, because when you live with someone for 5 years and you live as their property, as their slave,
That lifestyle.
isolated from freedoms of expressions, freedom of friends. I had no friends, had no family would talk to me. I didn't have very many family members still alive, but they're all dead now. So I had nobody. So here I was alone in her house, waiting for it to sell so I could move out. I was just basically guarding her house, and I was without her. Okay, so I had nothing. And I didn't go to any psychiatrists. I had been to psychiatrists in my earlier days in my life, and they were trying to heal me from my BDSM at my
Right.
request.
Right.
And of course, that's a real fiasco,
Yeah, don't
farce.
do that.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
You
don't
can't.
do
You
that.
can't change what you are.
No.
And I don't think most of those people are normal anyway. So
Right.
when you look at them and listen to them, they're just bizarre themselves.
Fuck
Yeah.
them.
So here it is now. We're now in August, and I had a call from a mistress up in Edmonton, and she was in the real estate business, and I was a mortgage broker by then. So I'm no longer working in a bank, no longer working commercial mortgages or commercial lending, I became a mortgage broker, which was easy for my background. It fitted perfectly.
Right.
So she came down for a visit, and she had found God. Totally unusual because her background, she was in the sex trade.
Right.
But she found God,
Right.
so I didn't judge her. And we sat and talked, and before you know it, I was enthralled by what she had to say. I joined that church, and it turns out that I found God.
Wow.
And I lived, ate, drank, breathed God through everything I did for the next couple of years. And that was what pulled me and kept me alive. Because I guess I was so depressed I was probably suicidal. And I seen enough people kill themselves that I didn't need to be me. So that's how I found God. So now how do I adjust with it? Well, I went my first interview with my owner in Edmonton. I drove up there with her. I drove up to see her. This was 4 years ago, probably 4.5 years ago. And I was definitely destined to be her property. That's the mission I had in my mind. I wanted to convince her that I was capable of being her slave, her owner, or have her as my owner. And when I got there, I found a spark of religion kicking its ass up at me, or kicking its feet up at me, into my ass. Sorry, and I couldn't cross over from the Christianity I had developed for the last 4.5 years, or 4 years, I should say. I couldn't cross over. I couldn't.
Interesting.
I turned my back at BDSM. And I've done this many times in the past over many different other reasons. You know, I buy a shitload of BDSM equipment, attract all the different mistresses and dominatrices, getting through it all, that sort of stuff. Everything's going fine. All of a sudden, there'd be a thought in my brain, a judgment, a questioning. I'd stop it. I'd throw everything out. I threw away thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of equipment.
But that's that. Remember we said before it's that self-assessment thing.
Yeah.
It's always good to just check yourself every once in a while.
It's very, very important.
You know,
Very important. And this is all new to my lifestyle, my way of thinking. But I know that I'm definitely into BDSM. I know I can't get away from it. I'm locked and loaded into BDSM. I just can't get away from it, nor do I want to.
So you were saying 4 years ago, then you're hoping to be, and then you get the flicker of Jesus.
Exactly. And I told her, I said, I can't do this.
Yep.
I'm sorry to waste your time. So I went back to Calgary. But within a week or two, I was back on the email, back on the texting messages.
It felt better too, didn't it?
It felt better. And from that point forward, my faith in God has followed lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Because what you learn inside church is that Satan controls people of earth. Okay? It's not God, it's Satan. Now, I don't want to go into some kind of religious cult and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But it's all logical. It's all fed from the Bible. And I can show you all the passages, but nobody's going to listen to it me anyways. I'm not a preacher, so I'm basically having a constant fight with, do I stay with religion or do I stay with BDSM?
Interesting. And there's no, for you, there was no way to have those work together.
It's impossible.
Right.
No way.
But I mean,
doesn't work.
Maybe for some people it does.
The wording in the
How does
Bible,
that work?
the wording in the Bible,
contradicting itself.
Exactly.
The ideologies doesn't work.
It's called an abomination
You
to
can't
God.
be kink and be a Christian.
Well, I think, you know what I think?
can't be.
It's
The
impossible.
Christian is, if you want to break it down, you got to be a good fucking person.
Yeah,
That's what they're
that's
saying.
what
Is
it
just
should
be a good
be.
person.
Well,
Yes,
it's more
I
than
agree.
that. It's more than that. What the word of the Bible is that we're all part of God's children. He's raising family members inside the God family.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and He wants us all to get there. You, me, everybody.
Be the
Okay.
image of.
Yeah.
Of God, but to get there, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of control of your own inhibitions and what have you.
So I got one more question I want to.
Oh, I'm sure inside you there's probably more than one question.
No. This was brought up to me when I was on Tom Segura's podcast, and they were asking me about you.
Thanks, Tom Segura.
Thank you, Tom Segura.
thank you,
we
Tom.
love you.
Yeah.
Sure. And Christine, don't forget Christine P.
Yes.
Christina P.
You guys are the
They're
best.
phenomenal.
They are.
And
fun.
the producer Naveed, he's the one who actually linked it up. He's a good
Dr.
guy.
Drew.
Thanks, Naveed. And Dr.
Naveed,
Drew.
you're the shit.
Let's give them all, and
Yeah.
Joe Rogan,
Thank you guys
and
for all
Jamie.
that. No.
know.
They haven't shouted us out
No,
yet.
but they would.
They
No,
might.
They would.
They might lately.
We got to drop it. But anyways, okay, so what's the
So
question?
they asked me, they're like, "Oh, is Norman gay?" Right? And at the time, I was like,
right.
I didn't know. I was like, honestly, I don't know if he's gay. I don't know what's going on. So then we had a conversation later on, And I know a lot of people are curious about this, about your sexual orientation. So can you explain to us what your sexual orientation is?
Well, first, Derrick, thank you for putting me on a spot, okay?
You get hot in here.
Whoa, I'm sweating all of a sudden.
His tits just got hard.
Okay, here's the truth and nothing but the truth. Oh my God. So here's the real truth about this, okay? I'm bisexual. So what does that mean? It means that under certain opportunities of chance or condition of the moment of the time, yes, I would love to suck a instrument.
An instrument. A penis.
He likes sucking dick.
So but that answers your question. I mean, here, Tom Segura, he does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever he wants.
But exactly.
But
a lot of people, like
you never know when an opportunity moment is going to happen, and when it happens,
people are curious, and people in the LGBTQ community, they're very curious. They contact me asking about Norman. Okay,
I know.
I'm kind of like his manager out of nowhere. I don't even know why.
He's my agent. Yes. I haven't signed a contract
yet. That's why
we
need to talk to you. We need to talk to your mistress,
Miss Talent.
Yeah, we need to work out a way where we could all cohabitate.
Exactly.
Me and Miss Talent and myself will have some conversation.
Well, for everyone's benefit.
Right, but I mean, to amplify your message.
Exactly.
Well, your story amplifies your message.
People want to know your story.
Well, and your I think it's, I mean, we've talked about this too, is having you frequently do this with us.
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I think because what I've realized, I mean, we're almost at an hour already, right? And what I've realized is to cover
just tip the iceberg.
Well, I mean, when I think you're 45 and you drop the 72 bomb, right? I'm going, okay.
Well, I should tell you the truth. I'm 71 and 3/8.
Okay, and 3.
Not quite. When's your birthday, Norm?
Actually, it's more like 70s. I'm August 4th.
Okay. August 4th? Okay. What are we doing? We getting drunk?
We're doing something.
We getting lit up?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, we going to Brickwell.
It sounds like a plan.
We going to Brickwell.
Brickwell is my favorite tavern.
I know. Let's go.
But I think what we need to do is really peel all the layers back, right? And I think also, I want you to be able to, with all these things that you're doing, is to be able to share them in the way that you want to, right?
Exactly. It's important for other people that follow on my tracks.
Yeah, well, and I don't think it's just
people
your story; it's what you want to do, right? And I think that's a big thing, is talking about.
People look up to this man around the world, have contacted me and told me how much they admire this man and what he's done for them.
How does that feel?
It's crazy.
It's actually, it's very awesome.
Made me feel good.
It's more than awesome, because I've never seen myself as a light of interest for
I never
anything.
expected it.
Sure.
And yeah, I get calls from all around the world on my phone.
So do I.
I get emails, I get texts.
So how did it happen? We'll
Dr. Drew.
How did it happen? Okay, because I think what was the most interesting, and then, besides, I mean, fuck, what we've covered in an hour, it's been wild. Yeah. But what was the spark? Like, what put you on the platform? Like, how did that happen?
What gave me viral notation to the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Was a combination between Dr. Drew and Tom Segura.
Okay, but how did Dr. Drew? How is there a connection?
As far as I know, somebody must have seen one of my videos. Because I had videos.
Do me a favor. Do the squeal, because they every. There it is.
We need that for our intro.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna.
And it's for real. That's me.
That's him.
It's not trademarked.
We need permission.
Yes, you're okay.
We'd love to put that in there.
You have my permission.
We would love to put that in there. Okay, so he calls you up.
Well, he actually. It wasn't a call. It was actually a podcast he had. Dr. Drew and Tom Segura were watching a video that I posted on YouTube, I guess. I don't know where it comes from, either YouTube or Twitter, somewhere out there. Or it could be one of the other alias sites.
And did you already have the...
No, I just had the breasts and...
Actually, you know what, though? Dr. Drew, actually, no, Tom Segura that you had the head.
He did on Tom Segura.
I did with Tom Segura.
Yeah, because it was a picture of you two.
Yeah, they were like, who the fuck is the guy who tattooed this on his head?
But it was those two people that put me on viral across the world.
Totally.
Amazing.
Totally.
Amazing.
And I've had offers from CTV here in Calgary to go on television and give my story. I've had multiple podcasts. I mean, just endless numbers of podcasts after me. Tom Segura is one of them, and so is Dr. Drew.
Wow, do we appreciate you doing this for us?
You're the first. Yeah.
Oh.
And,
he's with us.
And
He's
it will be the
our
only
team.
because you're here and I'm here. You know,
Yeah.
there's no sense getting into high tech Zoom and different things on the phone. I can't understand half the stuff anyways. I'm too old.
Yeah,
Well, we do appreciate it, and I think you know, I just think every person you meet, you know, they've done something different than you.
You would never figure this was. I look more like a grandpa when I have my white goatee.
he is a
on, what have
grandpa.
you.
Yeah, you know what's interesting though is when I met you, okay, right when we walked in, it was exactly what I.
It's like hanging out with your grandpa.
No, but I the way that you had
Like an old
described
school boy.
no, but the way that you described Norm, like it was like
Just a good old boy.
yeah, and
Good
so
old boy.
meeting you, it was just okay. You're just somebody that we could bullshit with. We
Yeah,
started.
absolutely.
I mean, we started bugging each other. I think right when we got into the room. So you know, I think that's the biggest learning for me in every situation is don't judge a book
Don't judge a book by its cover.
by its cover,
Right.
but
I'm
when
a
there is a
first
cover,
edition. I'm a first edition.
ask about it, right? If there is a cover,
Well, that's
you know,
true.
and you feel comfortable,
You got to ask. Yeah.
ask. 'Cause
I have no problems answering
Yes,
any
man.
question that's given to me.
Exactly.
Well, and in your case, I think what's so interesting about meeting you is that when people do ask, they're going to get something they didn't expect.
Absolutely.
Because you have a mission to bring awareness for women empowerment,
Totally.
and you do it in a very unique way.
Thank you.
You know, and
Well, he reaches a lot of different platforms.
Oh, fuck.
He reaches so many platforms for people that don't feel comfortable
Right.
being themselves.
right.
And all those people, and they reach out to me, right? And they're like, oh, like he's a hero to me. He's made me feel this way, and it's like it makes me feel good.
For sure.
You know, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I didn't.
I get a lot of the similar messages.
Yeah,
myself,
man,
so.
it makes me feel,
Well,
you
what's-
know. But you get some people telling him he's a sick piece of shit, and that he's going to hell, and that he's.
Remember, we got two words with them. Fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
They said to me
'em.
one time on a poster, like, "Would you ever let him watch your kids?" I said, "Fucking rights, I would."
You know, and so you know what's so I'd like to, just for time's sake, because again, I want to make sure we do this a lot.
Yes.
Right. And this entire podcast. Okay. I want to be honest with you and what I've been thinking. I've been thinking about my brother. Okay,
Yeah, your brother's
he
gay,
just,
right?
He just
It
came out.
I just seen that
Okay,
like the
there
other
you go.
week.
Yeah.
But like,
It's not easy for him to do that either.
Yeah, man. Your brother came out on 2 weeks ago. I seen that.
Yeah, and to us a few months ago. But he's
Good for him,
He
man.
was a youth pastor. Okay, so like
Yeah.
when you're talking about, I always
It's the same thing.
I always I kind of stay out of the religion thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, me too.
I
Me
was
too.
Well,
But-
it doesn't
that
lead
shit.
to a comfortable conversation because one person feels they're right and the other person feels they're
Sure.
right, and there's no happy medium.
But what he's okay. So this is what he's been really great about. And when you said that it saved you,
It did.
I mean, no matter what you believe, okay, whatever that was.
Without
okay,
that, I'm sure
Still
I'd be
believes in
dead.
God.
right, and but that's powerful. And with my brother, what I like, the one moment I had of him. So the two moments where I can remember, and I promise we'll end it on this if that's okay. But we were in Vegas, and he knelt down beside a army vet
Yeah.
that had a sign,
Yeah.
and he prayed with him.
I believe it.
Okay, fuck, like goosebumps. The whole bridge stopped.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not into, but what I saw was something like it was. And then when he came out and like did it in a, you know, the church, that's not easy for him,
No.
right? It's now changed his path. So again, you're telling me what you've gone through, and the whole time I'm thinking about is like, you know, I want to make sure that my brother, right,
Yeah.
doesn't have to deal with some of the things that you know he's going to go
Oh,
through,
for sure.
right? And
He
like,
is.
yeah. So, anyways, I feel a connection to you in the sense that I think
you.
what you're doing is very, very impactful, and this entire podcast has just been informative, but like it's actually like been very moving for me.
Well, it's been wonderful for me as well.
Well, and you just empower strength. I think we both love our moms very, very much.
Absolutely. I love my mom. She's my.
You know, so everything you're doing in your fucking beautifully unique way is amazing. I think in 72 years, the world has given you a platform to share it.
I don't feel 72.
You fucking don't look it. Okay, I mean, not even close. not even close.
We can check the idea when I leave the building here. It's approved.
But you've got a platform, right? And I think now you can use it. And I think all these people that give you a voice, right? Whether it's Joe Rogan or Tom Segura or all of these amazing people that can connect you to people, I think your story needs to be told, right? And I think it's, we get to experience that. So thank you.
I'm honored to have met you.
Well, thank you very much, Derrick. At first, I was very shy about the concept of coming in for a podcast because I don't talk about myself very much with anybody.
Sure.
If you go see me in the bar, I'll be sitting there by myself, mind my own business. Right. But when it comes down to this type of situation, this type of matter, it matters to me that people understand. Yes. I'm not a freak. I'm not a weirdo. And what I stand for is for the empowerment of women. So.
Yeah, and if anybody has anything negative to say about that, then
go fuck yourself.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Honestly, I appreciate it. Norm. Derrick, I love you.
Love you too, brother.
We're gonna keep doing this. Yes. Brian, as always, thank you so much. When you see the magic in what this becomes,
makes the magic.
Because this face needs a lot of work. Okay, this one here, trust me, there's gonna be filter on filter on filter. But no, thank you so much, Tats and Mats. This will be the first episode. It'll be coming out soon, and we love all of you that are gonna follow us. We love Norm for coming back, hopefully, and sharing some more.
I promise you.
Sure. And thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, guys. Okay. Love you guys.
It's been wonderful.
Till next time.
Till next time.